Hello, I'm FPX Toycat, and Minecraft updates differently to any other game, as the world you play on remembers the updates it was generated in. This means that exploration before big updates will leave its mark, and it's something you should consider. I could go to this part of my world right now, and I would find a nice forest, and skeleton and lava pit. But if we were to explore the exact same area, but in a couple of weeks from now, something we can simulate with the beta, then we'd have the same tree and lava, sans the skeleton, but then we'd be able to find leaf litter everywhere, wonderfully, and also these firefly bushes, something which I think would be a great addition. This will never retroactively generate in your Minecraft world, and so why not hold off on any exploration you've been doing? In fact, as silly as this seems, why not hold off on a few things that you've been looking to do? Because ultimately, most Minecraft updates make the game a little harder in some ways, but this is an update that purely makes Minecraft easier, and so there are some things that will be substantially cheaper. Whether that means saving you some netherite, leaves, or flowers, today I want to show you how you can save yourself a lot of work by simply not doing things for another couple of weeks. Preferably including jumping in lava. By the way, you'll be able to pause after this update. Isn't that exciting? Look. Oh, I didn't pause in time. Never mind. Because most Minecraft updates will make the game both easier and harder, but I think for the first time in a very long time, we have an update where exclusively, basically everything you might want to do is going to be better after the update. I'm going to try and provide you with counterexamples, but let's be real, the biggest example is always going to be the lodestone. If you've never played around the lodestone compass, it's one of my favorite items, especially for guiding people around your world, like I like to do with mine, and so it's a compass which will always point to the item which is placed in the world. In this case, it'll show you there's an end portal over there, and so I can walk across my Minecraft world knowing that I'm going in the right direction, because this compass, which says end portal because I've renamed it, this compass will keep pointing me in the right direction even if I get led astray. Very, very, very handy, especially when it comes to long distances, and especially when it comes to things that might get lost because of their locations. There's a lot of big builds in this area, and end portals are below ground, so having this compass which can point me right there is super handy. But do you know how you build the lodestone, which this compass is pointed to? Because if you don't, you might be shocked to learn that the recipe is one of Minecraft's most expensive. When it was first added to the game, it was thought that this would be one of the best and most unbelievably useful items, and so they made it so that the lodestone... Where is my lodestone, by the way? I can clearly tell it's around here somewhere. Anyway, where the lodestone is irrelevant, but what is important to know is that I paid a netherite ingot because this is a valuable Minecraft item that can do so much for your world. However, Minecraft are not just making it so you can find these in naturally generated chests, so if you don't explore your world, you might find literal lodestones, what is currently worth a netherite each, just hanging out in each of those, but even crazier than that in my opinion, is you'll be able to craft them using just iron. Why would you not do that? The answer is, of course you would. And so, the most important thing you can do is not craft any of these whatsoever. If you have plans to have more compasses, and honestly, I would love to have more than 3 of these, they were just very expensive, do not do it right now, because you will literally be able to save an entire netherite ingot's worth of progress, which is somewhere in the region of an hour of Minecraft work right now. You can lose an hour for every lodestone that you craft now versus later, and yeah, assuming you value iron at very close to nothing, like most people do, if you want to have lodestones, and you should, plan to craft them in a couple of weeks' time. Please, I beg you. Anyway, speaking of things I beg you to do, I actually have a lot of leaves in my Minecraft world. You might know that part of the reason for this is because I sheared... I shaved my forest, and I think, weirdly enough, it makes it look spookier, but I took all of the leaves that I got from shaving that forest, and I put some of them into this chest over here, which is very lovely, don't get me wrong. Wow, I've got all of these birch leaves that I can use for something in the future. Like most people, you might have assumed till now that leaves were basically valueless, and so what's the point of collecting them, especially using shulker boxes? I'll be honest, I'm questioning why I use shulker boxes here, but the truth is, you could do next to nothing with your birch. Or your leaves of any variety. I'll be honest, I was questioning it too, until I remembered what I've done with all of the leaves in my Minecraft world up until this point, because I've had so many of them, and rather than letting them sit in chests and do nothing, I've instead chosen to place them all in this giant lake that I found. I've placed thousands and thousands and thousands of leaves in here so far, and the end goal is to have an entire lake that is filled with leaves. The fun benefit of this is they're all waterlogged, so if you break any of these blocks, they'll immediately just replace themselves with water, but it means that you can officially walk on water, and boy was this a good use of thousands of blocks. But seriously, up until now, this is about the only use you could have for these blocks, until we have the brand new way to smelt them, not just use them as fuel, but use them as an item to smelt with fuel, which means you'll be able to turn them into leaf litter. Leaf litter is honestly a purely decorative block. What are you going to do with it? That's a decision you get to make. I think it could be kind of fun to like cover this area around the leaves with it, and so that's what I'm going to do with my entire shulker box filled with birch. Actually, let's be prepared for this. Let's take this hopper that's clearly not being used that well. Let's throw it on top of that, and then let's put our shulker box right on top. Or even, actually, we could be even more tactical about this. We could break the right half of this. It never works the way you want it to at breaking chests, does it? You always think you know which side to break, and then you never actually do. But let's place all of our leaves into this chest, and that's going to allow us to take the second half, put it on here, and now we can just simply put all of our shulker items into this lovely chest here, which means it will slowly but surely smelt up into leaf litter. And now, as soon as the update comes out, next Tuesday presumably, I'm going to have myself an entire chest worth of leaf litter, and, when that time comes, it'll be great. And in the meantime, I've got myself a bonus shulker box. Also, things that you might want to do now rather than later, probably revolves around bones. There are lots of items in the next update, cactus flowers, tall grass, short tall grass, bushes, the firefly bushes, all of these delightful different options, including leaf litter, will be extra useful with bone meal, because bone meal can be converted into any of those items we've just mentioned. It lags when you go to the nether. Therefore, if you have a bunch of bones sitting around your Minecraft world, and I know that you do if you've been playing for a while, you probably have some bones that are just sitting around waiting for a valuable use. Go and collect those. In fact, I found some while I was working on last week's Recycling a Trial Chamber project. I love any excuse to come back here, but particularly I need to do so right now because I need to bring a whole ton of extra blocks with me. So let's load up on wax blocks of copper, throw them into here, and then also, while we're here, we can pick up any extra bones lying around, and you better believe I've got those, because just over here, I actually have the collection of all the blocks I picked up that weren't from the trial chamber, and you better believe there are so many bones, because I kill a lot of skeletons, specifically because they come out of the trial spawners. And any more bones? Oh yeah, more bones. So many. I guess my advice really here is do a little bit of spring cleaning in your Minecraft world, because you might find some bones under the sofa, and bones under the sofa are a surprisingly useful thing to have, at least right now. Like, maybe you want your slime balls to make some slime blocks. Maybe you want to take some of your cobbled deep slate, because it's going to fit perfectly with the wildflowers. I'm not in charge of how you do your world, although I'm not sure I see the combination of those blocks personally. But yeah, ultimately, outside of preparing your world, there's not too much you can really do to be massively prepared for the spring drop, because the spring drop adds a lot of features that generate in your world that are kind of fun to see in your world, but otherwise, to get them in bulk, the only real thing you can do to prepare is getting bones. And so that is the weird thing. Really, the spring drop is the bone and tone update, the bone and clone update, because they look like the old items. Anyway, the point here is that if you want to get your hands on lots of new items, stock up on bones. If you have a skeleton farm, use your skeleton farm a little bit now so you don't have to waste precious update time doing it, and that's how you prepare for the update. But the biggest thing that you can do beyond any of that is really just to stay focused in your existing loaded chunks. If you've got a big exploration that you want to do coming up, maybe you want to raid 100 bastions, or you want to go find a bunch of new trial chambers, the truth is you should wait if you've got a long-term survivor world where you'd rather have those new features and your world looking just a bit newer. You could also argue, well, actually, I like worlds when they look old and kind of janky and goofy, in which case, go and explore right now. If you specifically don't want to find leaf litter and wildflowers, you could take all of this advice in the inverse. But yeah, I think for most people, you're best off working on a project that's in your existing chunks. With regards to what projects I'm going to be doing in my Minecraft world while I wait, well, I think the most useful thing I could do certainly would be to work on my cactus farm. This is my mega cactus farm that I built way back in this world. Literally when this used to be a desert and not a sea of torches, I actually built a cactus farm because I figured it'd be fun to build large-scale versions of lots of farms. I don't know if I necessarily agree that this was a great deal of fun. Oh, I'm gonna have to end a pearl if I want to get myself up there. Let's try that again. Oh, there we go. But the fun thing about this farm is it will soon be able to produce cactus flowers if I just slightly alter the design, which I may choose to do in some places. Also, the design needs to have some tweaking anyway, because I don't think it's perfectly finished. I know, an unfinished toy cat project, unheard of, but you can see like right here, there's just some cactus that grows to tool height. There's some cactuses that aren't planted over here, and so in general, this place looks like it could do with a little bit of a tune-up, maybe to support some cactus flower growth. So this is one of the projects I'd love to work on. The second one is one that was inspired from r/IBX Toycat. I saw a subscriber who actually built all of the Cove battle minigame, and I think they did a really good job. Every time I see these kind of console relics, I love to see it, and I encourage you to build any maps that are important to you, but also, I did about 70% of this job when I built the old minigame lobby inside of my TU31 city. But the fun thing about this lobby is the fact that it is most of the way there, but it just misses a few details here and there, something that I easily could fix. I mean, for example, I've got far too many slime blocks now, so I could easily fix that up. I could bring some extra dirt in to fix some of these issues, some extra leaves. Oh, I accidentally have a whole shocker box full of those. All it would take is a few extra logs of the right varieties, and I could make a huge difference in this place, and so I think I'm going to do precisely that. And also, this is my Recycling a Trial Chamber project, where I'm taking the 43,000 blocks that I mined, and I'm slowly piecing them into this nice little part of my world, and today I want to add another build to it, and there's going to be a fun game that I'm going to play here at first, which is, can you guess what I'm building? I'm also going for an achievement, if you want to get some bonus points and guess what that is what I built, but how quickly can you see what's happening here? I think that even though it might be obvious to you just immediately from the guess-go, I actually can't really immediately get it looking this gameplay super fast forward. What do you reckon? Are you getting a vibe for it yet? I think we're sort of getting there. Now it's probably definitely very obvious. At this point, I thought I lost the shocker box that I just broke and then didn't pick up, but don't worry, it was actually right there on the ocean floor, and so too was my very toy cat build. Okay, and now I'm hoping that you can make a decent guess as to exactly what it is that I'm building. Can you guess what achievement I'm going for, though? Anyway, let's start building this very beautiful structure, which I do think is almost perfectly built for exactly what we're going for here. I mean, like, if you look at the blocks that we're using, I think that when Mojang made the trial chambers, they were probably hoping, you know, like, there must have been someone somewhere who was like, I really hope that our players will recycle it to build this. Because you've got to admit, this is actually looking really cool. Anyway, one of the things that I, on the subject of this Let's Play, something that I have kind of pieced together recently, maybe far too late into my life, is because the whole point of this video was to share information with you, hopefully to make your Minecraft world a better place. That's always kind of been one of the goals of this channel, is helping people out with their, what we're now calling forever worlds, but you know, what we've always called the long-term survival world here on this channel. I have been always hoping and always aiming to, to help people out and to give people all sorts of tips and stuff like that, while also kind of documenting the journey in mind. It's been a lot of fun, but one of the things I've always just done and assumed throughout my entire life, I need to get it before it goes to the surface. Oh no, okay, we're fine. But one of the things I've just kind of always done in this world, and one of the things I've just always kind of, assumed has been true, is that the reason that people talk, the reason that people say things, is in large part, not exclusively, but the biggest reason is to share information and knowledge with each other. That's always been my built-in assumption about life, but my built-in assumption about why people are talking to begin with. Because, you know, why else, you know, like when someone asks you, like, oh yeah, what did you get up to this weekend? They want to know what you got up to this weekend. And a lot of people might actually want that, but I think the majority of people who ask the question, what did you get up to this weekend, are actually trying to say, look, I care what you have been up to. And, you know, it doesn't actually matter to them whether you say, I went jet skiing, or I just spent hours in my Minecraft world, hanging out under the water, building a trial temple. It'd be so cool, by the way, if... It's a shame there's no trial chamber below here, but if there was a trial chamber, having the entrance to it being in this, wouldn't that be the coolest thing we could imagine? Anyway, speaking of coolest thing we could imagine, I kind of realized that that's a thing, and that, yeah, no, actually, information sharing is like kind of a... it's like a niche way of talking. It's like, it is something that people do sometimes. You know, I think particularly guys do it to each other. You could argue that's... like a comorbidity for guys more than an actual design feature, but it's still something that I think is very interesting to think about. That, like, oh yeah, a lot of people actually aren't necessarily massively interested in, you know, like doing anything besides just like kind of showing they care, showing whatever else. And that a lot of the time that people ask you a question, they're not really asking you a question. And so in the same way, when you tell people things, you have to realize that in my mind, the best way to make certain videos is to drop everything humanly possible all in one place, and then like, also, how is he not drowned? My vision was always to like drop everything in one place, and then let people kind of like work out the rest for themselves, you know, like, also, I think this goes back 3 blocks here, if I'm not mistaken. I've done this enough times, and then this is always that part of the thing, which means that this part goes over there, which means we can use this to work out the height, because a desert temple is a really, really odd number of blocks by an odd number of blocks, and having this be this way is great. But yeah, so I think that learning that people communicate for all sorts of different reasons is useful, and it has been kind of useful for me personally to like kind of like really take that on board, because especially now on the internet, as long form video has gotten more prevalent, and as a lot of people now specifically, you know, this blows my mind that it's true, but a large number of people specifically now, when they have a problem, they look for a video to deal with it. You know, personally, I love to just look at a big text thing and read about the problem, but no, that makes me like strange and different. The usual way to deal with a problem in 2020, insert year here, is to, you know, you watch a short form video about it. You see some personality on TikTok, and there's like one particular way that people talk in short form because you have very little space to talk. It used to be one of my like big things that I was like trying to learn was this idea of like, how can you communicate as much information as quickly as possible? You know how it used to be like a meme that I used to talk super, super quickly? The basic idea behind it was this, like, oh yeah, I can do everyone a favor if I could communicate the same idea. Instead of taking, you know, like 30 seconds to do it, I could do it in 20. If I take a video that could be 15 minutes and do it in 10, I'm doing everyone a favor there, really. But I think in now modern internet with so much of that available, a lot of people actually kind of feel the other way. Which is why I like the idea of having, like, the slightly longer form and slightly, you know, more discussion-like, you know, things to talk about certain issues so that we can actually dive deep into, like, okay, so in my Let's Play world, I'm building this brand new project, right? I'm recycling a trial chamber. Why am I doing it slowly rather than quickly? And the real explanation as to why is because I think it makes me happier. And I've come to realize that being happier while playing a video game is a perfectly fine goal to have. I think sometimes you almost want to deliberately put yourself through discomfort. It's a strange thing, but it's a very real phenomenon, both for life and for video games. But I think especially a lot of the time you're playing Minecraft, you just wanna chill out. You know, you just wanna, you know, Minecraft is the chill game, and you need to, you know, reward yourself every now and then with a little bit off that chilling. It sounds like a strange thing and maybe over clinical to describe myself this way, but I've come to realize that you are, as a person, really dealing with, like, multiple yous inside of yourself. This sounds like I'm dealing with a whole different thing, but, like, right now, I really want to play Minecraft, but, you know, I haven't eaten since, you know, like, I had a small breakfast, and that was several hours ago, and so a part of me is like, wait, have I made a mistake here? And so, also, I have made a big mistake that is about to kill me. Let's drink another water-breathing potion. That will surely solve this. So, yeah, one of the big mistakes I made is kind of thinking like, oh yeah, what my, like, let's call it my intellectual brain wants is probably the most important thing. I want to finish this trial chamber portal. You know, you can eat any time you want of day, whereas, you know, this needs to be finished right now, because I tend to find that finishing a project all in one go, or at least especially smaller ones, is better for the health of the project. You don't have to remember. Is re-remembering a word, or is remembering or already covering that one? But you don't have to remember exactly what it is that you're working on, etc., etc. And so doing it this way is actually, you know, much better for me. But also, you know, like if you start neglecting certain basic needs, I think your body starts neglecting you. If you neglect your body will return that favor, which is, you know, very catty of it, if you don't mind me saying myself. But also is, you know, very, very real thing. Okay, so now we're going to put this over here. And then we're going to build up this out there. Okay, I think I could be wrong here, but outside of this, which does still need to come in, we have almost completed our little portal. Which, you know, actually, now that I'm saying, if you have to say you've almost completed something, you're saying nothing. But yeah, so I've been learning the value of communication of like, oh yeah, sometimes it's actually worth having a bit of a chill on something, which is something I intend to do going forwards. If there are a billion, you know, like hyperactive Minecraft channels, especially in the short space, what if we could do the opposite of that? I could be making an entirely bold claim in the wrong direction here. I think making wrong moves is a necessary part of being a creator. I could be making an entirely bold move in entirely the wrong direction. But what if there are a lot of people who specifically agree with me that, like, oh yeah, with a lot of stuff like this out there, would it be nice if someone, like, had, like, a real human being discussion with me in some places? I'm hoping the answer is yes, and I'm hoping there are also human beings that love my commitment to building a desert temple out of every material. This world should have an infinite number of these, because I think this is looking real great. Speaking of real great, if you did want to know what achievement I went for, and hopefully got today, it was for swimming with the fishes. It says you have to survive a full day underwater, but here's the question, how do they measure Minecraft day? Oh, apparently I haven't. Oh, no. How do they measure Minecraft day? The answer is I don't know. But here I am. So if I drank 2 8-minute water bottles, that's 8 minutes, 8 minutes, and now about 3 minutes. I should therefore unlock it in the next minute 30. So, you know, we could cut this down by a minute, or I could talk to you about what I had for breakfast this morning. And so what I had for breakfast was, well, meanwhile, in Toycat's Let's Play World. And I guess that's why I would say it was the most life-changing breakfast that I've ever had. Yeah, now that I said that out loud, I'm glad I decided to include that in the video. But yeah, let's go ahead now and let's see if I finally got my hands on this achievement. They tend to, hey, we did! Leaving me with just 12 more to get my hands on before I can officially say that I've got 2,900 gamer score. That has to be the most that I'll have for a single game. 1,000 is meant to be the default, but with, you know, expansions and achievements and stuff, you can end up with far higher. And I did so by working on Minecraft's most beautiful building, at least from the outside. On the inside, I tend to leave these a little blank, unlike people who build skyscrapers and stuff. You know, does the inside even really matter? I guess that's a personal preference question. But with that said, I hope that you found today's video to be useful. If you are playing a world, good news, it's going to be upgrading, not just in the spring drop, but in all of the drops that come afterwards. And on this channel, I'll be guiding you through how exactly it is that those drops will affect your world. Oh, and since here's something fun that I've been doing recently, I actually have been loving to take screenshots of my world. It's a great way to see progress. And it's something that I did before I started recycling the trial chamber. And so here is what it actually looked like before. You can see a few extra things because we're currently recovering from rain, and so the render distance is slowly increasing. But if we look now, you can see, wow, look, there's a giant Toy Cat Statue of Liberty. And what's that? You can see the desert temple under the water? Well, if you can, you're probably lying. You know, it's weird that we can't see it, right? Like, I guess, like, refraction or something. But you can imagine it's down there. And yeah, I just wanted to show you this because taking screenshots is such a cool way to keep your world going. And if you want to see other ways, then consider subscribing to the channel. Because I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.